Here's K2EFG in Brooklyn. I'm in my home, and I'm going to show how do I use various charging technologies and techniques to charge these A123 batteries. I bought these from Buddypull. They have different names, but they're basically 4 cells, or in some cases 12 cells in a row that provide 12.8 volts roughly. They charge as high as 13.5 and can go as low as 9.6. I use these for operation on portable setups, and I charge them with various methods. The first method I'd like to demonstrate is the simple CellPro 10S that I have. This charger connects, as you can see here, to a 13.8 volt. This is an MFJ power supplies, and it's very quiet, and it actually has introduces very little noise. I like this one a lot, and it has 25 amp max. This is more than sufficient for the CellPro, which draws something to the tune of 5 to 10 amps on a good day. So I turn this on. This is connected using these cables, and you can see that there's a menu that comes up. This is ready to charge at 5 amps, and I'm going to be charging these 2 larger batteries. One of them is new, and you see it charges through this connection here. There's actually, I think, 5 cables here, and they are going directly into the cells. This is important because the CellPro 10S charger knows how to balance the batteries, and that's very important when you deal with maintaining the batteries. Right now these batteries are partially charged. One of them is actually brand new, and the other one is being used. They provide, each one of these can provide a 12.5 volts on average for 100 watts operation for about 3 hours. And so here we go. I'm gonna start the CellPro charger. You see the first thing it does is checking the packages. It checks the conditions, and then it starts to charge. I can go back and see various setups. This one is charging at 5 amps. Here are the conditions of the charging. It tells me that they are about 40% to 44% full. It's going up, as you can see. I have a status here of the volt charge total for each one. CH1 is the first battery, CH2 is the second battery, and finally I can see each individual row of cells and how they're doing. You'll notice that they're flipping between 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is the first battery, to 5, 6, 7, and 8, which is the second battery. Each set of cells is about 3.3 volts times 4. It's about 12.9 volts altogether. Which, if you toggle again through the status situation, you'll see. Here we go. It's 13.3 volts each. So I was wrong. It's not 12 volts. It's 13.3. So that's just a regular home charging. This is the ideal way to charge the batteries. It is balancing the charger, balancing the batteries using the CellPro charger, and that's the ideal way. Later in the demonstration, I will show that you can actually charge the battery through the output channel. You see, this is an output channel that connects ultimately to my transceiver, and that output channel can also be used to push current into the battery. The only issue there is that in that situation the battery cells are not balanced, which means that they could have different charges at different states, and it depends on a whole variety of factors. I will show how I use different solar chargers to introduce power into this battery and charge them again with a controller. I have several controllers. The latest one is, of course, the one from Buddypull, and so that's our first part of our presentation. So this is a home setup with a power source here, and a CellPro charger and balancer, and finally the batteries are connected through these little connections here, and they will eventually get balanced. Once the charge is finished, the CellPro charger knows to balance those batteries and knows to make sure that the output is ideal. Typically, it is recommended to by the manufacturer to balance every other charge, which means I can take this to the field, use it, charge using an unbalanced method, and then bring it back home and balance it again. This is exactly what's going on now. Okay, so with that, I'm going to conclude with a few closing remarks. One is that you always want to leave your CellPro charger attended to. Mine is over there on my work desk, just so you can hear error messages which are audible, as well as just be aware that there's no overheating or anything like that. I like to not keep a battery charged fully more than 2 or 3 months, so it can be properly maintained. If 2 or 3 months pass and I know that I'm not going to use it, I discharge it to about 75 to 50%. Some people say that it's okay to recharge the battery with solar with unregulated power and without balancing more than once. I stick to once. I like to keep my batteries in good conditions. And finally, the CellPro charger can also be used for a trickle charge, which has much lower amperage going in, as low as 0.1, and that's really helpful if the battery is not in great condition, if you drawn on it, or if you have done what I've done at least once, is keep it connected to the transceiver, which you'd think that it shouldn't harm it, but in fact there's internal resistance in the transceiver, and it slowly over a few days can drain a battery, and that battery can die actually and never come back to life. So these are some cautionary tales to be aware of. I'm going to try tomorrow to show how to charge with 3 solar chargers I have. They're different kinds. One of them has unregulated power. You've seen that one in my 4X-ray Holy Land expedition. Another one has an inverter, which means it can ultimately charge using the regulator, the CellPro charger, which means that balancing can occur in the field, but it's a pretty big and heavy battery. A third one is going to directly to the cell from the sun with a controller in between, and a fourth one is one that is a smaller solar charger, which could possibly go into the CellPro balancer. However, it's a little tricky because just a little cloud can make the input voltage below the minimum that the CellPro box can sustain, and so it requires some adjustments and some careful settings. With that, I bid you adieu and say 7-3, and hopefully tomorrow's a sunny day and my YXL will let me play a little more. 7-3. Here's K2EFG.